And the People's Democratic Party, the PDP, has accused or cautioned the sacked local government chairpersons in Osun State against causing political turmoil in the state. Debo Ologunagba, the PDP spokesperson, accused the former local government chairpersons of instigating violence in the state by attempting to resume office despite a court order sacking them. On Monday, 5 persons were reportedly killed when supporters of the All Progressives Congress APC and those of the PDP clashed over the attempted resumption of sacked APC local government chairpersons who claimed to have been reinstated by the court. The Osun State caucus in the National Assembly and Ademola Adeleke, the governor of the state, had accused Boyiga Oyetola, who is the Minister of Marine and Blue Economy, and the APC of backing the resumption of the sacked local government chairpersons. Pan-Niger Delta Forum leader Edwin Clark is dead. Until his passing, Chief Clark was a frontline advocate for minority rights who championed the need for convergence among Nigeria's founding ethnic nationalities to serve as a platform for national progress. We have details in this report. Take a look.
After more than half a century in public service, the curtains have finally fallen. Politician, statesman, and public servant Edwin Clark is no more. Born on May 25, 1927 in Kiagbodo, Delta State, Clark dedicated his life to public service, advocating the rights and development of his native Ijaw people and the Niger Delta region. He was a towering figure in Nigerian politics and one of the few surviving nationalists who lived through Nigeria's 64 years since independence. He was a lawyer, administrator, nationalist, and freedom fighter. Clark served as Commissioner for Education in the Midwestern region from 1968 to 1971, and later as Commissioner for Finance and Establishment in the defunct Bendel State between 1972 and 1975. At the federal level, he was appointed Commissioner for Information in 1975 and subsequently became a senator in the Second Republic between 1979 and 1983. Beyond his political career, Clark was a leading voice for regional and national unity. He was also known for mediating roles among warring communities and politicians in the Niger Delta region. Pa Clark was also notable for his role as father figure to former President Goodluck Jonathan, to whom many believed he played the role of unofficial advisor. As a champion of peace and stability in the Niger Delta region, Clark played a pivotal role in the struggle for resource control. At critical moments, he also rose to occasion to speak truth to power. He equally didn't mind whatever the consequences of his interventions were. His passage on Monday, February 17, at the age of 97, is one that leaves a wide vacuum to be filled nationally and regionally. Coming especially on the heels of the passing of Afenifere leader Pa Ayo Adebanjo, who died at the age of 96 just a few days prior. Both Clark and Adebanjo are known for contributing to the political development of the country. In 2022, Adebanjo and Clark attended the Greater Nigeria Conference, which held in Abuja, to deliberate on the emergence of the next Nigerian president from the southeast. The GNC was a pan-Nigeria dialogue organized by a global Igbo think tank, Nzuko Umunna, to canvass support for a presidential candidate from the region during the 2023 general elections. For Pa Clark, it wasn't always politics. As a philanthropist, he founded the Edwin Clark Foundation and established a university in his hometown. His death was confirmed in a statement by Professor C.C. Clark, a representative of the family.
Earlier, our correspondent Amadin Uyi visited the Abuja residence of the deceased and spoke to some dignitaries who came to pay condolence.
What came into my mind was that how do we get a replacement? Because he was one voice that became a crescendo on the issues about the Niger Delta. Once he speaks, the entire world listens. Today, we have lost him. You know, when people get real old to 90-something, 85, 90, people are happy when they move on. They say, okay, it's a celebration of life. But for us in the Niger Delta, it is a vacuum that has been created.
I felt that it will never die. So that we had the news today, it's a big shock. But let me say this quickly. I know you don't have a lot of Irokos in the Niger Delta, but an Iroko has gone. And very, very difficult to regrow. Chief E.K. Clark was a cosmopolitan senior citizen. He drew all groups together from all parts of Nigeria. Was blind to ethnicity, was focused on having a better Nigeria.
In the meantime, President Bola Tinubu has mourned the passing of elder statesman Edwin Clark. Reflecting on the life of the late statesman, the president says Chief Clark was a towering figure whose influence was felt across Nigeria's political firmament for nearly 6 decades. Delta State Governor Sheriff Oboriwori has also sent his commiserations to the Ijaw Nation on the passing of the elder statesman, describing his death as end of a great era. In a condolence message to the family and the Ijaw Nation, Governor Oboriwori described Clark's life and times as indeed well spent in the service of the nation. Former Delta State Governor James Ibori, while reacting to the demise, described the clerk as fearless and a federalist. Ibori noted that the late elder statesman was an exceptional leader of the Niger Delta region and was never afraid to speak the truth. In a related development, the Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has described the passing of elder statesman Ayo Adebanjo, co-founder of the Pan-Yoruba Social Cultural Organization Afenifere, as a great loss to the country and the Southwest. During a condolence visit to the late Adebanjo's home in Lagos, Governor Sanwo-Olu commended the Afenifere leader as a man who wasn't afraid to speak truth to power and one whose shoes would be difficult to fill. Ayo Adebanjo died on the 14th of February at his house as his Lagos residence after a brief illness at the age of 96. You're watching news now on News Central Television. Let's go on a short break. When we return, the National Association of Nigeria Students threatened to shut down CBN branches nationwide over hike in ATM charges. The details of this and more just after the break. Stay with us. And you're welcome back. The National Association of Nigerian Students has rejected the recent increase in ATM charges by the Central Bank of Nigeria. The association described the increment as an attack on the financial stability of Nigerian students and the larger populace. It noted that the increment places an unnecessary burden on students and citizens, especially in an already struggling economy. NANS threatened to shut down Central Bank of Nigeria CBN branches across the country and its headquarters. And now to health matters. Doctors at the University College Hospital UCH Ibadan have embarked on an indefinite strike, citing prolonged power outages in their residential quarters. Speaking to journalists in Ibadan on Monday, the General Secretary of the Association of Resident Doctors, ARD, Dr. Uthman Adedeji, said the decision followed the hospital management's failure to fully restore electricity to all affected areas. The association had earlier issued a communique warning that members would down tools if power was not fully restored by 4 p.m. on Monday. Although some parts of the residential quarters have been reconnected, others remain without electricity. Dr. Adedeji assured that the association would continue to monitor the situation and review its stance in the interest of its members' welfare and working conditions. The Lagos State government has organized a sensitization program to promote oral care and hygiene, and that's health hygiene among people with disabilities. Speaking at the event held in Alausa Ikeja with the theme Oral Health, a key to cardiovascular health, the general manager of the Lagos State Office for Disabilities Affairs, Mrs. Adenike Oyetunde Lawal, said the event was designed to address the critical health challenges often faced by individuals with disabilities due to inadequate oral hygiene practices, which can lead to serious health complications. Lawal explained that the event, with a special focus on the oral systemic connection, was intended to provide or protect the heart through oral care, as well as promote better oral health and improve the quality of life for persons with disabilities in Lagos State.
Many people do not understand how important what goes on in your mouth is, how important what goes on in your mouth is connected to your brain, connected to your gut. And because we have special children, many of them do not have capacity to, as simple as brush by themselves, do not have muscular strength of their own. And many of them have to be subjected to both occupational and physical therapy to enhance strength in their mouth. And sadly, many of them suffer and live with bad oral hygiene. So the purpose of today's event is to highlight how important all of this is, to pinpoint to the parents how important it is with nutrition and oral health, and also to listen to the parents and have the professional and the experts give key thoughts and advice on how to ensure that these parents and children improve their oral health.
With the beautiful things we've been taught and the awareness, I found out a lot that our dental health and well-being has if not a lot, has everything to do with our what we eat.
They take care of my tooth and I'm no more feeling it. I'm free all right now. So I'm so happy for what they've done for me today.
In a major step towards improving healthcare access, the United Nations Population Fund, UNFPA, in collaboration with the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation, has officially handed over family planning commodities to the Lagos State government. Now, this move is aimed at bolstering maternal health services and ensuring that women and girls in Lagos have better access to family planning options. The handover ceremony held on Tuesday marks a significant milestone in the ongoing efforts to reduce maternal mortality and promote reproductive health across Nigeria.
We are so grateful because even last year we ran out of commodities, family planning commodities, and it's not something it's not where we want to be, where people are actually asking, they're actually coming to our primary healthcare settings and we're actually telling them that we've run out, and it will be used well. We're not charging any mother any money at all for this, and we have, like you stated, we have a variety of things. What is good for Mrs. or Miss A is not good for B. So it's nice when you have that variety as well. So it's not one cap fits all. So,
and as we have been talking about it in our UNFPA circles, Lagos State is slowly and surely becoming one of those states that will become one of the showcase states where we'll be able to showcase the sustained benefits of domestic funding to family planning. Ladies and gentlemen, the demand for family planning commodities in Lagos State exceeds supply, stressing the importance of additional funding and partnerships.
I want to say that family planning will be able to integrate a lot of our family planning providers into this program, and a lot of women will be reached. The private sector, the public facilities that we know that take care of 40%, the private sector that takes care of 55% will also be reached. So, and that's for the next 5 years, which is a good thing.
And you're welcome back. Following violence in Osun State, where the PDP is cautioning the sacked local government chairpersons in Osun State against causing political turmoil in the state. We're now joined by a lecturer at the Federal Polytechnic, Ede, Dr. Mrs. Yemisi Ojokuku. Mrs. Ojokuku, many thanks for joining us. We appreciate you for doing this with us. I mean, how familiar are you with the ongoing political situation regarding the sacked local government chairpersons in your state and the ensued violence? Let's start there.
Thank you very much for. Yeah, it's true that there are some crises in some local governments in Osun State as a result of the court's judgment in favor of APC, and we have got information that there are crises in some local governments as a result of the results, and that is threatening the forthcoming local government election on Saturday.
Now, speaking of, how do you feel about the governor's accusation that the APC and the Minister of Marine Economy, Gboyega Oyetola, are, behind this violence, backing the resumption of the sacked local government chairpersons? Do you see any merit in the governor's claims?
Well, I cannot categorically say, because rumors have it that that the judgment was in favor of APC and that the PDP are trying to make some trouble based on what happened during the tenure of Governor Oyetola, the appointment of some officials of the local government. So some people are not well disposed to that, and as a result, there are crises.
Right. Well, as we're talking about this, based on your understanding of the situation, how involved do you think political figures like Gboyega Oyetola and the APC are in local government decisions, especially when it comes to the sacked local government chairpersons?
Well, concerning the sacked local government officials, the party loyalists are trying to foment trouble, and the other party, the APC, are trying to maybe stay calm or retaliate. But some of the citizens have been calling for peace. They are agitating for peace to make sure that the crisis does not escalate beyond control. The involvement of Gboyega Oyetola is no longer the governor. So his involvement per se is not, I cannot say his involvement is what is causing the problem or not, because he does not have the say now as regards to what is going on in the local governments.
And do you think that the actions of the political leaders in this case are genuinely in the best interest of the people, or could there be other motivations at play here?
Come again?
I'm asking about the actions of the political leaders in this case. Do you think that it's been genuinely in the best interest of the people, or is there more to this than it just meets the eye?
Well, that is relative. That is relative. The political leaders, they will try to work in favor of their party members. That is what each political leader will be trying to do. And when the political leaders are trying to work in favor of their party members, the other side will do the same. Definitely there will be a conflict of interest. And that is, I think, what is happening presently.
Well, we must say thank you so much for joining us, Doctor, for just taking out the time to join us this evening to give us a bit of insight on the situation in Osun State. We appreciate you for coming on. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
I'll switch gears now. As the National Association of Nigerian Students, we've brought you that update, but let's go on a short break, shall we? When we come back on the other side, there's more. Stay here. following the students threatening to shut down the CBN and its branches across the nation, as well as the headquarters, following the hike in ATM withdrawal tariff. We're now joined by the Abuja coordinator, Youth Rights Campaign, Ibukun Omole, and he joins us live to give us a bit more insight on today's story. Ibukun, thank you so much for joining us. I mean, we have opposition from the NLC, Serap, and now NANS. Will this latest threat be, strong enough to deter the government from continuing with this policy or tariff hike?
The tariff hike is a new stage in the financial operation of the Nigerian people by the Tinubu government. And this present regime is taking advantage of the fact that the Nigerian people are still struggling to find democratic representation for their grievances against the government. Because we've seen the fuel hike, we've seen the electricity tariff hike. Recently, we had the issue of data increment, and then ATM charges again. So I think we are in a country where our leaders are fully disconnected from us, and they feel that they cannot be held responsible by anybody. So it means that there's this technocratic disconnect from leaders and the masses. Everything is eating under the economy. Meanwhile, corporate profit is soaring. In fact, according to Punch, 10 banks in 2024, within the first 9 months of 2024, 10 banks made $4.07 billion, amounting to 15% of 2024's budgets. That's profit before tax, as at the 9th month of 2024.
Right.
Amounting to 15% of the 2024 budgets. That shows that we are in an economy that prioritizes the profit of these banks more than the welfare of the people.
Ibukun,
and this is what the Tinubu government is showing.
Ibukun, so with, we have NLC that have said they're going to push back on this, and they have a planned protest. There's also Serap as well, who's taking the government to court. And now there's NANS. I asked if this latest threat, if you guys join hands, is it strong enough with all this dissenting voice? Is it strong enough to deter the government from continuing with this tariff hike?
Thank you very much. I think the problem with the NANS and the NLC is that with the Nigerian students, the NANS has lost credibility because of this lack of democratic representation of the grievances of the Nigerian students. With the Nigerian people and the Nigerian workers, the NLC has lost credibility because of consistent betrayal of the struggles of the Nigerian people. So the problem that has been created is a problem of democratic representation of the people's grievances. It is that we no longer have platforms to democratically present, because as it stands now, the Nigerian people can come out by themselves, like it was done during End Bad Governance, during NSAS, come out to protest these issues. But the problem of waiting for people for platforms like NANS, for platforms like NLC, is the fact that we are setting ourselves up for disappointment again. For example, during the End Bad Governance, if Nigerian people had waited for NLC to move, what would hear, like we heard just recently, when the issue of data charges came up, what we would hear is that the NLC has met with the government and the struggle has been suspended. So the Nigerian people are not really trusting in these platforms, the NLC, the NANS. And so I think the important thing is for grassroots movements to start bringing themselves together to represent the grievances of the Nigerian people.
All right.
Rather than let politicians use us to fight each other, use us in local government elections, in state elections to fight each other. We should be coming together,
all right,
as Nigerians, organizing horizontally to charge against these issues.
Okay, Ibukun, we must say thank you for taking out the time to join us today. Ibukun Omole there, he is the Abuja coordinator for the Youth Rights Campaign. We'll switch gears away from that. Following his redeployment by the Inspector General of Police as the new police commissioner for Lagos State, CP Moshood Jimoh, has reiterated his commitment to doubling his effort in working with the state government to reduce crime in the state. The CP Moshood made this announcement at the media briefing at the Lagos State Police Command headquarters in Ikeja. Moshood further stated that the Lagos State Police Force under his watch will work with relevant stakeholders to ensure safety, security for the state. The new commissioner, who is the 41st commissioner for Lagos State, applauds the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, for finding him worthy of his position as he prioritizes effective synergy between the police, other security agencies, and the entire public.
Under my leadership, we redouble our efforts and work assiduously with the state government and good people of the state to further reduce the fear of crime, the commission of crimes, and all forms of criminality in the state to minimum level. This is to enable law-abiding people of the state, corporate entities, both local and multinationals, to go about their day-to-day businesses and their means of livelihood peacefully. I therefore wish to assure you all that policing with international best practices and standards, which is one of the key policing visions and mission of the Inspector General of Police, IGP Kayode Egbetokun, PhD, MPM, will be strictly adhered to and fully implemented for the benefit of all Lagosians and visitors to the state.
The Nigeria Police Force has issued checks worth over 2 billion naira to 706 family representatives and beneficiaries of deceased officers who lost their lives in the line of duty. The Inspector General of Police, while reaffirming the police commitment to prioritizing the welfare of both serving and deceased officers, says that the initiative aims to support the families of fallen heroes. Idong Joseph reports.
It was a solemn moment as families of 706 police officers who had paid the ultimate price in service to the nation gathered to receive financial support from the Nigerian Police Force. The checks issued under the Group Life Assurance Scheme and the Inspector General of Police Family Welfare Scheme are part of a welfare package designed to cushion the financial impact of losing a breadwinner.
Today we present another tranche of 2,997,770,673 naira to 706 beneficiaries covering insurance policy years 2020/2021, 21/2022, 22/2023, and 23/2024.
Among the beneficiaries was Keziah Amos, who lost her husband in the line of duty and says she has struggled for about a year to access his entitlements. She appreciates the gesture and hopes for sustained support beyond this financial assistance.
I'm pursuing this about 1 year, getting to 2 years now that I'm pursuing it, but I feel very sad, pain in my heart for the loss of my husband. I want the police to assist me. I have a big child. Maybe they will give him any vacancy so that he will work to continue the work that his father left behind.
According to the police, this initiative aligns with ongoing efforts to clear a backlog of entitlement for deceased officers covering 2020 to 2024. As part of efforts to eliminate bureaucratic bottlenecks, the force has also launched a new platform that allows beneficiaries to access insurance claim more conveniently.
This digital portal has been introduced to eliminate bottlenecks in the application for insurance claims. Beneficiaries can now sit in the comfort of their homes and apply for the claims.
While the financial relief brings some comfort to these families, many are calling for a more structured and long-term support system for those left behind. In Abuja for News Central, Idong Joseph.
United Bank for Africa, UBA PLC, has lent its support in fostering peace and stability across Africa with a donation of $500,000 to the African Union Peace Fund. The donation by the UBA group supports the AU's efforts towards promoting security, conflict resolution, sustainable development, and a unified Africa, as envisioned in the AU's Africa Agenda 2063. UBA's group chairman, Tony Elumelu, who announced the donation in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia, highlighted the reasons behind the UBA group's support to the AU. The AU Peace Fund plays a crucial role in financing mediation and preventive diplomacy efforts across Africa, strengthening institutional capacity and ensuring rapid responses to emerging conflicts. UBA's support underscores its dedication to the collective progress of African nations, reinforcing the UBA group's long-standing belief that economic growth and regional stability go hand in glove. And you're welcome back. Thousands of refugees have crowded a camp in Bunzanza, Burundi, near the border with Eastern Democratic Republic of the Congo, DRC, fleeing the advance of M23 fighters backed by Rwandan troops. Burundi's Interior Ministry reported on Monday that nearly 10,000 people had crossed into the country in the past 3 days as Rwanda-backed forces intensify their offensive in eastern DRC. Officials say refugees are entering Burundi through the Gantuba border post or crossing the Ruzizi River. The government, in collaboration with the United Nations Refugee Agency, is working to identify civilians, soldiers, and the sick, while also providing shelter and humanitarian aid. The M23 armed group has seized large swaths of territory in recent weeks, displacing hundreds of thousands, and over the weekend entered Bukavu, the capital of South Kivu province. And now to discuss this, we're joined by international journalist Thamsinke Zo. Mrs. Zo, thanks so much for joining us. Let's just get started, shall we? I mean, how would you assess the current security situation in the eastern DRC, particularly in regions like North and South Kivu? And what are the driving factors? What are the factors that are driving the escalation of this violence so far that we've seen?
Hi, Judith. Thank you for having me, and good evening to your listeners. What is happening in the eastern side of the Democratic Republic of Congo is worrying. There is conflict that is ongoing. There are talks, efforts to bring peace to the region that are ongoing. Not so long ago, the leaders of East Africa and Southern Africa, because the DRC belongs to the two regional bodies, East and South, because of the size of the country, met in Tanzania to try and resolve what's going on. There were, agreements that there would be ceasefire. So the information that came that Bukavu in South Kivu had been taken over by M23 came as a surprise to some who thought that maybe there would have been, observance of that peace agreement, or at least the ceasefire in the process. So it is worrying, which is why you see a lot of influx of refugees and people moving. Just an example, Bukavu, which is in the south of Kivu, the two provinces, North Kivu and South Kivu, Goma, which was taken in January, late January, is in the north. And then in the south is Bukavu. Bukavu itself is about 1 million people. So you would think that there would be a lot of, concerned people, communities, because these are areas that have got different ethnic groups that have been, at one end of the conflict or the other for decades, in fact. Judith?
And what is the role of armed groups like the M23 in the ongoing conflict? How do they manage to operate so effectively in such a complex environment? And what is their long-term strategy at this point?
Well, you have to understand the historic view. If I take Nigeria as an example, you had different kingdoms before the colonial times, and those kingdoms had borders. And then if you then have this Berlin Conference that then, ignores the borders that were there with the kingdoms, that can create problems. So this eastern side of the Democratic Republic of Congo has always had parts which belonged to some kingdoms that were part of the Congo, and some kingdoms that were, or some communities that were part of the Rwanda kingdom at the time. So you find that the Kivu has always had Tutsi, ethnic Tutsi populations, as well as other ethnic groups in that. And over the years, there have been conflicts with administrations in Kinshasa, which is thousands of miles away, and compared to probably the neighbors in Rwanda, Burundi, and Uganda. So in the latest move, you would think that all those rebel groups that have been there over the years, whether there was Mobutu Sese Seko and then the Kabila administration and now the Tshisekedi administration, there are always conflicts in that area that are led by different groups. Some are aligned to Kinshasa, some of them by the locals with support from some of the neighboring countries. So it's a very complex thing indeed. But also in terms of their strategy, what they were saying when they started this was that they wanted to take Goma, they take Bukavu, they take Kisangani, they could keep going, Lubumbashi, until they get to Kinshasa and talk to the administration there. And which is why the regional forces and other people came in and said, hang on a minute, you can't do that, or you will not be allowed to do that. Yet for countries like Rwanda, their interest mainly is security. The people in Rwanda will tell you that they want assurance and a buffer from the Democratic Republic of Congo along the border. They don't want people they allege were involved in the 1994 genocide to come back from next door to attack Rwanda. So it's very complex. It's not as simple as people think it might be, which is why a solution is difficult to come by. Judith?
Yeah, well, I mean, so you've done a fantastic job in just trying to simplify this as much as you can. We want to say thank you for taking out the time to join us on the show. Many thanks. It's going to time for us to hop out. A terrifying scene unfolded at Toronto Pearson Airport this afternoon when a Delta flight from Minneapolis crash-landed in heavy winds and snow. The plane flipped into its roof, sending fire crews racing to the scene. Miraculously, all 80 people on board survived. For News Central, international correspondent Afia Hagen has the latest.
Stiff winds and swirling snow made for dangerous conditions as Delta Flight 5763 approached Toronto Pearson's runway. Moments later, disaster struck. The aircraft crashed on landing, flipping upside down and bursting into flames. 18 people were injured, including a child, but all passengers and crew survived.
First and foremost, there was no loss of life. And this is in due part to our heroic and trained professionals, our first responders at the airport.
Seat-belted travelers found themselves suspended from their seats as fire crews battled flames and sprayed the fuselage with foam. Video shows passengers scrambling to safety, some jumping from exit doors onto the icy tarmac, clutching jackets and bags. Toronto Airport Fire Chief Todd Aitken says investigators are now working to determine what caused the aircraft to overturn.
This is an active investigation. It's very early on. It's really important that we do not speculate. What we can say is the runway was dry and there was no crosswind conditions.
The crash temporarily halted operations at Canada's busiest airport and adds to growing concerns over aviation safety. It marks the fourth major crash in North America in just a month, 3 weeks after a deadly mid-air collision in Washington, D.C. that killed 67 people. Canadian and U.S. investigators will now comb through wreckage and flight data to find answers. For News Central, I'm Afia Hagen.
And that's what we can take at this hour. But before we go, let's take another look at some of the major stories. The PDP has accused SAC local government chairman in Osun State of causing violence. Elder statesman and Ijaw leader Chief Edwin Clark has passed on at 97. And we also told you that Burundi is grappling with refugee influx as M23 rebels' offensive intensifies in DR Congo. As always, you can watch News Central live on DSTV channel 422, on Star Times channel 374. We're also on Apple TV and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Judith at TV.